I don't think the Stars are going to trade Jason Robertson. I don't think they want to. Actually, I'm pretty positive they don't want to. But the question is it an option because he's due another big raise? And of course, they do have control. Well, that's the theory we're going to talk about today. What would that contract look like for their sniper, Jason Robertson, Dallas Stars, after this season? We do that now here on DLLS. This is the DLLS Stars podcast on this Thursday, the 24th of July. I almost said January for some reason. Talk about being all over the place. Next to Sam Nessler and looking at the pristine visage that is.
Look at that hair.
Craig Ludwig, what wilderness explorer extraordinaire. Boy, does he have wildlife all over his humble abode in Wisconsin right now. Luddy, it looks like the deer are starting to grow their antlers right now.
Well, that's not all that's growing. My grass is growing because between the deer and the geese are fertilizing it really well every day, about 5 times a day. I was out there with a power washer today and the blower, and yeah, there's wildlife all over the place.
Today's show is going to talk about one of the elite goal scorers in the National Hockey League. His name is Jason Robertson. We're going to do a couple of segments about Robo because... Oh, wait, before we do, Kat wants to see Luds. She just wants to say hi. She just misses. We talk about Kat. Wildlife. Luds, you're her spirit animal.
You are.
She's our boss tomorrow, right?
She'll be producing us tomorrow, so we'll get to say hi and hang out. Although we're not going to make her do 48 screenshots tomorrow. So that. Yeah. Thanks, Kat.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Okay. Before we get into the Jason Robertson discussion, I do want to remind everybody, hit that like and subscribe on YouTube. It really helps. It gets the algorithm going and people see us. But also that we have a special DLS Diehard sale up right now for a substantial discount off the regular annual price. It's $36. It's because of Cowboys Training Camp. Scan the QR code down there below Luds. You can get a full year, if you've never been a Diehard before, for just $36. Big, more than 50% off the regular price. And of course, as we have new T-shirts, you get a free shirt with your annual subscription. You could pick one of those. Sam was actually wearing his today. See the one in the top left? That's the back of it. This is the front. He's got the big barbecue sign on the back.
Love it.
Look at shirt. Looks sharp. Brand new threads for Sam today.
Yeah.
I'm wearing the Otter shirt. You could get that one too. But all right.
There it is.
There's the Otter shirt. Thank
I have
you
to
very
get mine. I
much.
still haven't got mine yet.
So here's the thesis of today's show. Jason Robertson's name has been out there in the NHL rumor mill as being available to be traded. We had Greg Wyshynski on last week from ESPN, and he said he started hearing stuff during the Stanley Cup final, literally as the Stars were beginning their offseason, having been knocked out in the 3rd round by Edmonton. And to me, the only reason Jason Robertson's name was being discussed in trades from the NHL Insider rumor mill is because he's due a raise. Not because the Stars don't want to pay him, not because they don't have the cap room to fit him, but because they still have control. He doesn't have a full no-move clause. If they needed to make a big swing at something, which they already did with Mikko Rantanen, his $7.75 million AAV could be used to open up space. Now, what do? They instead traded away Mason Marchment. They made a Matt Dumba trade. They made the space available to do some of the business they wanted to do. Luds, when you look ahead, the salary cap is going to go up for the next couple of years. I personally don't think it's going to be as difficult as people have been saying for the Stars to fit Jason Robertson and Thomas Harley's extensions, and we'll get into the details of that in a minute, as the cap continues to rise. They just have to be reasonable in how they do it.
Well, can you pay Robo more than Mikko?
That's a big first question. Can you? Yes. Should you?
Okay, well, let me ask you the second question then. I'll ask the second question second. Should have asked it first. Is Tyler Seguin going to be here next year after this year?
Yes, he has one more year in his deal after this. He has 2 seasons left.
That didn't answer my question, but okay, so Robo's not going to get $12 million. He's not going to get 12 and a half. I mean, I don't know how.
I don't think they're going to pay him more than Mikko Rantanen. I agree with you there.
I don't either. So that means he's got to be somewhere between, if Tyler's going to be here for another year, he's probably going to be in the Seguin neighborhood, right? He might be a little bit above Tyler. 10 and a half. How many? What are goal scorers in the NHL that are averaging? I don't know. What does he average? 35, 36, 37 goals a year in his last 3-4 years or something like that. What are they going for? I mean,
I have a comp for you
those
on
are
that.
going to be the comparables, right?
So one thing is, I think it starts in the 8 figures because his qualifying offer. Remember, he's an RFA, Sam.
Yep.
So it's not like Jim Nill's not worried about, oh, we'll lose him to free agency in the summer after this season, which would be ahead of the 26-27 season. He is a restricted free agent with arbitration rights, which means they could offer him a qualifying offer, which I believe is at $9.3 million, right? Which is a lot.
Yep.
But they still have control. He's also only 26 years old, so he's still got another year after this year before he gets to UFA status, the unrestricted free agency. That's where you worry about, like the Marner situation, where you lose a player for nothing, or in the Toronto case, they did the sign and trade at the end and they got Nick Waugh, or as Leds calls him, Waugh or Roy, depending on your mood. And so, Sam, I think you have to be north of 10, but I do agree with Luds. I don't know if you're going to get Mikko Rantanen money, but I think it's going to be pretty close. I have a comp, but I want to hear what you have to say about it first.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's somewhere in that 10 to 11 range. I think the key here will be I believe this will be played out this whole season before he has a contract. And I think that will be a key part of it. He's got so many different incentives with the Olympics coming up, with his performance and injuries last year. I think let the guy go prove he deserves 11-5. And if he doesn't, if he has an up and down season, or maybe his playoffs aren't great, then you probably have a little more not ammo, it's the wrong word, but a little more wiggle room to drop it down closer to 10. And I think that's going to be the key, is what does Robo do this season to get there? But I completely think no way he gets 12, because your superstar has to be your highest paid player, and that's what Mikko Rantanen is.
Luds, is there any chance?
Hey, Sam, so does that mean that Robo may be squeezing the stick a little bit this year? Because obviously it would depend on, he can't dip below the 30 mark in his mind, I'm guessing. He wants to get another number.
The hope is that it's the opposite, right, Luds? The hope is that he's not squeezing the stick and nervous. The hope is that the incentive. I mean, look what happened once he got left off 4 Nations. He was a totally different player.
He was also healthy then.
And he was healthy, and that's helpful. So I think for him, the way the Stars are hoping it goes, and the way he should hope, is that he comes into the season finally fully healthy. Hopefully there's no little blips we learn about in the next month and a half here, and comes in with that incentive of, I'm going to be this player all year. And I don't know when the finalization of the rosters are for the Olympics, but they give him 3 months to perform at that level that he was at when he was at his best, and then late in that Western Conference final, maybe he gets 40 again, and that's the difference. If he's a 40 guy. Yeah, if he's a 40 guy.
If I'm upstairs, then I'm kind of worried, because if you've got him penciled in, I mean, not worried, that's a good thing, but when it comes to the dollars and cents, if you've got him penciled in to play with Rupe and Mikko up there on that top line, there's a good chance he could hit 40 if he's healthy and confident and all those other kind of things. Now all of a sudden, where does the leverage turn there?
Yep.
So
then you package him up. When he wants too much, you go ahead, you package him up, and then you do a Marner deal. I
know you teased me about being a Jason Robertson apologist when he was struggling earlier in the season.
Oh, God, here we go with this foot again.
But I'm going to tell you this. So after the Christmas break, from December 27th through the end of the regular season, and yes, he did get hurt in that last game in Nashville, he was the 4th highest point scorer in the NHL. So over 49 games, he had 57 points. There were only 3 players in the league over that span who had more points than he did, And he was the second highest goal scorer. He's tied with Leon Draisaitl. Only Pasternak from Boston had more. David Pasternak, Nikita Kucherov, and Nathan McKinnon. That's the list of players from after the Christmas break until the end of the season last year that had more points than Jason Robertson. Now, I know that's a limited sample because it's part of a season. It's a little over half. So then I looked, Luds, and I looked at from 2020 through 2025, okay? He is the 13th highest scoring, this is points, player in the NHL over that span. Okay, so he has 393 points in 371 games. Right behind him is William Nylander, 391, so 2 less points. He has 8 more goals in 7 more games than Robo. But Robo has more points. So I looked up William Nylander's contract, and Sam said the number already. He's currently at $11.5 million. To me, I know, again, Nylander's older. He's also been playing in a pretty difficult market and doing well in Toronto. I think that's a pretty close comp from the statistical side of it. You may say they're different types of players, and they are. But I think from a money side, that's not far off. Now, the question I have, and we can carry this over once we get to our ad breaks in a couple of minutes, is you have to worry about Thomas Harley. Not worry about him, but Thomas Harley's going to command a big raise too, and the cap goes up about $8.5 million. Well, they may, compared to another comp for Harley, which we'll get to, need more money, right, Luds? So the question I have is, can Jim Nill use the no state income tax advantage that they have in Texas to get a comparable take-home to a guy like Nylander and get that AAV under Mikko Rantanen?
Don't let Gary Bettman hear you bring that up, because he says it doesn't make a difference. Doesn't matter to the players. They don't care. Yeah, I think if you have that in your pocket, you're always going to use it. And they talk about it. These guys talk about it. To say that it doesn't make a difference, everybody's lying, because it clearly does. There's no question. Otherwise, nobody would ever bring it up. So yeah, I think that's the neighborhood that you're going to get him in, is 10-5, 10-8, somewhere in there. And again, who else is going to replace him? Who's going to replace those average of 37 goals a year? And, Wyatt, I think you're expecting a little bit more from Wyatt, but I think if you're going to compete, when you look at the teams that are winning the cup, they're not just all about defense and goaltending. They've got guys that can put the puck in the net. So the game has changed in that sense, right? So you have to have that weapon, because right now, if Robo was in the lineup this year, and it is what it is this year, and let's just say you want to bring in, I don't know, whoever, let's say Granlund was here and Robo wasn't here. What does this team look like this year? I think it's another team that is going to make the playoffs, and you don't know where they're going to go after the second round.
A lot. Yeah, I think Luds, the key there is what you just said. I see a lot of fans, people, Twitter, our comments on our shows, talking about being a mistake to use your core with Robertson, right? Don't pay him this much because he doesn't need to be in your core. But I'm looking at the numbers, and Ohm was just talking about him. Over the last 5-6 seasons, Robertson's 15th in goal scoring. Some of the names above him: Gensel, Nylander, McKinnon, Connor, Kaprizov, Ovechkin, Rantanen, McDavid, Pastrnak. These are NHL superstar players, and I know Robertson hasn't necessarily been the best playoff performer consistently, but we saw a little glimpse of that last year. I don't know why it would be a problem for Dallas to rely on him as part of your core, unless what Luds is talking about, they decide to shift away from his skill, which the guy puts the puck in the net and can score maybe 40 goals. Why would you go from that, is my thing.
Who's the core? Now I'm confused. Who is the core?
It starts with Mikko Rantanen right now.
Rantanen, Heiskanen, Hintz, Robertson, Ottinger.
Wyatt,
probably what I would say, and then Wyatt, and then when the next
one. I think you got to have Wyatt in there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's right there below it. I'm just saying, like, right now, that's probably your 4.
Well, again, I think Wyatt, for me, I don't know if I want to say Wyatt does more in the course of a game or over the course of a season than Robo does. I don't think that's fair, because I think Robo does a lot more damage, or has the potential to do more damage on the power play. Wyatt is on the power play and the penalty kill, although he's got a ways to go as far as I'm concerned on the penalty kill. But there's obviously guys there that trust him to do it because he showed signs to do it. I think if you bring in another coach and maybe a little different tweak here and there, I don't know if you're ever going to count on Robo to be a PK guy. I think you're counting on Robo being a top 6, obviously a top 3 guy, and a power play contributor all the time. And every team needs that. And so my point is, I guess, as much as I would like him to dig in more along the walls, you need guys that can score goals on the power play and can be in your top 3 and be a consistent contributor, and you have to pay for those guys.
I've got a question to follow that up.
With the exception of his little toe or whatever was bothering that at that point, he's been fairly healthy. And I mean, and he came back from what I thought it would be tough for him to come back with his knee or whatever he had. So to me, he proves that he can play through some of that stuff.
Well, I have a follow-up to that exact point about Robo and the power play on the other side of the ad break here on the DLS Stars podcast.
First, let's talk about money, and that's specifically Monarch Money, because finances can be messy and confusing, but Monarch Money acts like your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop earning and start growing. Monarch Money is more than just your average budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center for all of your accounts, investments, and goals, so you can have everything in one place and make it super simple. Don't just manage your money, start building wealth with 50% off your first year for DLS listeners. Start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. With all your accounts, credit cards, and investments in one place, you'll always know where your money stands. Makes it super simple even for people who live the busiest of lives. Finance tool that people actually love. Join over 1 million households. Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025 with over 30,000 5-star reviews. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use the code DLS at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DLLS.
Thank you, Sam. I'm going to talk about branded bills, great looking hats, and whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. Now, you'll see Sam wearing hats more than I do, or Luds. Luds and I aren't big hat guys.
Lud's got a new hat
in
from
comparison to you guys, but don't be fooled. If a costume is in order or a bit needs to be done, Luds and I will put those hats right on, especially moose antlers or one with beer cans on it, or you name it. Looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd? Well, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order, and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They have a partnership with 40 colleges as part of their campus collection, including TCU, Texas Tech, and Texas. Head to brandedbills.com. Use the code BBDLLS for 15% off your first order. Look at the bottom of the screen. BBDLLS for 15% off. We have a super chat to get to, but before we do, Luds, I want to follow up on what you just said about the importance of Robo on the power play and what you need as a goal scorer. Because as you were talking through that and comparing Robo with Wyatt, different players. One's a center. Wyatt's asked to be more doing kind of like what Rope does, power play and penalty kill, run his line, has had incredible points. In fact, if you go back to the numbers I told you about, Robo has 28 goals, 57 points in 49 games after Christmas last year. Wyatt Johnston had 27 goals, one less goal in the same number of games and 6 fewer points. He had a great second half. We're going to talk about that maybe next week of what happened to Wyatt Johnston in the playoffs, because the regular season Wyatt was stunning in a good way, and then what happened in the playoffs as far as production was really surprising. But my question to you, Luds, is when you talk about a guy that puts the puck in the net and is such a power play focal point, it made me think of Steve Spott. That's right, Laser Eyes himself, because Steve did an interview, Spotter now with the Boston Bruins, right after he signed with the Bruins as the new assistant coach, where he was asked about working with David Pastrnak. And he instantly referenced, we had Jason Robertson on the power play in Dallas. And so my question to you, Luds, is that is David Pastrnak a appropriate parallel to the type of game that Jason Robertson plays, because he is a shooting focal point of a power play, a big-time point scorer? Now, he's older and maybe more accomplished, but is that of a similar type player in your mind?
He's similar, but I don't think I put him in the same group as Pasta. Not for me, not yet. And I agree. He's a shooter. Pasta seems to be able to do. He can set more people up. I feel. Yes, he scores goals, but he pulls off some passes, and there's other things that Pasta does, I think. So I don't think Robo's quite there, but I think the importance of having a guy like Robo, obviously, is when you say focal point. Focal points aren't great. I think you have to have 2 or 3 guys, and I think right now where Dallas is, you've got Mikko Rantanen. If he becomes a little bit more of a shooter, I know he's always been the same kind of guy and what he is, but I think if he's a threat to shoot, you've got Robo that can shoot. Harley can shoot now from the point. Obviously Miro's going to take probably the majority of that, but that remains to be seen yet. I just think that you have to have options, because I can go back to the days with Brett Hull when played against him. If you could take Hully away, and there's other teams, you could take certain players away, and their power play wasn't as effective. So, I think Robo fits in with that group of guys that we're talking about, and that's what actually I'm speaking from a penalty killing standpoint. You can't just play a certain way. You have to be careful of how you play, and sometimes what it does, it makes you pause. And the way pucks move around now, if you pause, you're dead. And you're either going to be that stationary kind of PK and you try to keep things out of a certain area, or you're going to be an aggressive one. And I'm more of an aggressive kind of guy, especially in today's day. But if you want to do that and you have a couple different options on your power play, and you've got a couple guys that can zing it around, you get beat. Fortunately for Dallas, on the other end of that, they've got a goaltender that can make some incredible saves if they want to play that way at times. So that makes a difference, from the other side around. But I think that, the way power plays are so important, power plays, and, we talk about special teams and goaltending all the time. It'd be tough to get rid of or pull Robo out of that permanently from that standpoint.
And Lods, correct me if I'm wrong, the Stars power play was at its best when it shot the puck, right? Me and Owen up in the press box, and us when we were watching games up here in the loft here, we're just saying, shoot more, be simpler. And Robertson does that, right? He gets the puck. He's a threat to shoot. He doesn't very often look for passes. So it just seems silly to think that a team that needs to shoot the puck more is looking, or not maybe looking, we're talking about is looking at maybe getting rid of the guy who probably shoots the puck the most and has one of the better shots on the team. It just feels like kind of a weird way of looking at it for a team that needs that aspect in its game.
Well, where the danger comes in there is now that you have Rantanen that typically is down there by the hash marker on the goal line. So for me, if I'm that left side defenseman and Robo comes walking off the wall, I've got to be in that shot lane. I have to respect his shot because we've shown that he can score from distance. So you have to take that away. So as I take that away, now I'm opening up Rantanen down low. And then Rantanen, obviously one of his biggest strengths is the way he passes the puck. So all of a sudden, if you end up getting people coming down the backside or going across the crease, it becomes difficult to defend. So that's why they have to be able to, for me, I would always try to get it to Robo, have Robo walk and take a shot. If he gets it again, go take a shot again until they take it away. When they take it away, now you go down to Mikko down here, and then you go across crease or you come back some other way. Or you're just working on things down low, and then Robo can kind of move around in that pocket and use that quick release of his.
Yeah, this might be early. We'll talk about it way more when we start actually getting into hockey, but you just got me excited about thinking about power play.
I know. I was like, I want to go see. Let's go play hockey now.
Would you also consider Luds having Duchesne in that sweet spot that you're talking about with where Robo would be, and then Robertson on the other side coming down the wall on his, I guess, strong side?
Honestly, for me, well, yeah, you can. If you're talking about coming off the wall, yes, that can be Duchesne. But I think you need a guy you need a righty out there. You need a guy, because if you're going to get it to Rantanen over there playing on his offside down low, you want to be able to move it to somebody on their one-timer. If you're taking Robo away and it goes to Rantanen, now you're looking for that one-timer to go through that seam, which is where I think you need a righty over there. Unfortunately, you've got Harley's a lefty, Miro's a lefty. They're your 2 power play guys. But, the guy that comes to mind for me is Wyatt. And Wyatt always seems to pick up the second power play, but I would be tinkering with him. I think you use one of those guys, and I think when you don't want to not have Duchesne on there because of his passing ability, I think Duchesne can play on the point. I mean, he can be one of those point guys. Him and Miro could switch, or him and Harley could switch around. But as we know, again, you got so many guys that are so good on the right side of the ice, meaning Rantanen, Duchesne, Robo. Harley can come and shoot from wherever, but regardless, that's the one thing I think you got to be able to try to do. Because if I'm going to kill against it, I'm going to kind of let pucks stay on that side. Because if things are happening, coming here and going across, it's more dangerous.
Yeah, and remember Wyatt Johnston's, I think it was the game-winning goal or the go-ahead goal, at least in Game 7 against Colorado, was that little cross-crease play from Duchesne. I guess Wyatt and Sagan are your only options for one-timers and backdoor plays, but they got too many lefties on this team.
Yeah, they do.
I'm not opposed to
funny
taking,
thing is they have
I'm
all
not
these
opposed
lefties.
to taking
No
one big player that's about 6'7" and placing him right in front of the net either. I'm not opposed to that because there's one guy there you can't move. That's
the Craig Ludwig power play spot.
Well, that was, they seem to forget about that. But again, I look at Bischel. I mean, it reminds me of Darian Hatcher. I mean, we take Hatch and put Hatch in front. And nobody was going to mess with him. They're not going to be able to move him. Liam Bischel at times, if you're playing against, I think that would have been the perfect move against Edmonton. Take Bischel, put him there, and if they want to try to move him, good luck, because now they waste their time with all that and other things open up.
So let's do the super chat. Thank you, Elijah. I almost forgot. We have Seth Eubank with a Oscar Beck and Year After the Cup. I would just like to sign a petition for Luds to grow his goatee out 2 to 3 inches longer. Just my opinion. Perfect number for Robo is 10 to 11 million. Who does Harley base his contract on, though? Bouchard. Okay, so there's a lot there. We'll get to the second and third parts, but are you willing to grow out your goatee an extra 2 to 3 inches in length?
Well, now to get the rubber band, I'll get a little pigtail down here. So I guess I almost this morning, I was tinkering. Honestly, I was thinking about this morning about shaving all this and just having the handlebars for both.
Oh yeah,
I almost did that, and But.
Have you been on a motorcycle in a little while? I feel like the handlebars are perfect for that.
Yeah, well, they are. Well, anything ugly is perfect for it. I mean, the worse you can look, the better. So I don't have far to go.
And that's the second part of the super chat is Robo being in that 10 to 11 million range because of whether it's state income taxes, and you can say that the take home is comparable to, an 11.5 or even 12, right? Would you consider that a win for both sides if they can get a deal under 11 million or at?
See, I think part of the sell with all of the players that you're trying to get signed is what kind of group you have here, the potential that you have here. Yeah, you want to go to San Jose, they'll probably give you, 13 or 14 if that's what you want. But I think these guys are a tight group, be honest with you. And I think they want to find a way to win as this group. I still believe there is a piece or two that can be added to it. But I think that to me is the biggest selling point. If you want to pack up and leave, and again, we could name 6-7 names that you already named. You want to leave those guys, for a chance to go someplace else where maybe you don't have that. Now, if somebody's going to say, "Well, Florida will give you 12," I know they can't, but if you want, well, they find ways to pay everybody apparently. Yeah. So, but
they still have to get rid of something.
You want to go play. If there's somebody that they believe one of the top 3-4 cup contenders, maybe that's entertaining for somebody to go there, get that money. But to go someplace where you're going to be in the bottom half of the league, I don't think that's what any of these guys on this team would want to do.
That's the point, Sam, is that for everybody complaining about the disadvantages for teams that have state income tax or higher state income tax, yes, it's an advantage, but only if your team is a contender. That's the big thing, right? They keep going back to nobody wanted to go play for the Florida Panthers when they were terrible. No, but now that they're good, arenas. Now it's an advantage.
Yeah, I think it's a silly thing, and I think Bettman says it perfectly when he's asked about it. It's just exactly that. It's like this is yes, it's an advantage when you have it and you get on a run and you're Florida or Tampa and you're winning cups and you have that, but you're also going through tough times at some point. This team did it. Both Florida teams have done it. I just think it's kind of silly to do it. The only time that it's interesting is when we really talk about Robertson or guys like that, is that you can realistically think that Robertson might get 10.5 because he's compared, if we're using Nylander, because he's compared to Nylander, who's getting that in Toronto versus here. So it does give you a little bit of an advantage and wiggle room. The same thing's going to be said for Harley. Is Harley worth, to that other part of that super chat, is Harley worth 10.5?
Well, let's talk about that.
How do you pay Harley more than Miro, though?
Let's talk about that after the break here on DLS. Perfect.
That means let's shut up and read a commercial break here. Started
Yes.
by my two college friends, Saturday Neon makes officially licensed collegiate logo neon signs, perfect for your home, office, dorm room, bar, and Sam's Fam Cave. Check out the Essentials collection featuring almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country and counting for only $75. See their Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State signs. Unlike traditional neons, these LED signs won't break or shatter, but still give you that classic uniform glow. The LEDs last up to 100,000 hours, so you'll be enjoying your sign for years to come. Low voltage and super easy to install using the provided hardware or with the 3M Commando SAM strips. Head over to SaturdayNeon.com and use code DLLS for 10% off your favorite sign.
Nice, Luds. Now I got to find a way to do this and use Luds in it a little bit here. So just like your favorite team needs a home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, just like Craig Ludwig was a shot blocking expert. Dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We all know about those big box stores might have a flooring department, but the person helping you may have been doing sinks yesterday and stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring, so they'll help you get everything you need with every step of the way guidance. It's a whole different ballgame. With Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day, so no waiting time. You can get that new floor ready to go for your next event. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. DLLS listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code DLLS. You heard that right. That is a $350 discount with code DLLS. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/DLLS for full details.
Okay, we have another super chat, and I want to get back to the final question of the previous super chat. So let's do that one as well. Go ahead, Elijah. Give us a nice bing bong for him. Yes, please.
Bing bong.
Some
bing bong.
name with a Robertson, and then forgot to write anything, and then said, I meant to say Robo will re-sign Go Stars. The previous question, and this goes into this, so thank you, some name, we appreciate that, is who does Harley base his contract on? So the comparable Luds. We talked about this last time when he signed the extension, was Evan Bouchard. Is he still his contemporary as far as a contract comparable?
See, I think you can compare him to him, but I think Thomas is better defensively than Bouchard is. So if you're looking for the offensive side of things and you're comparing his offense to Bouchard's, I don't know. I think Bouchard might be a little bit better right now. I just think he makes, but again, it's, when you're giving the puck to guys like Draisaitl and the other guy, 97 Connor, I just think they make you look better than what you may be at times.
Yeah,
so
especially on the power play.
He has a heck of a shot. He does.
Well, he does. He's got a great shot, and I think Thomas does too. But what Bouchard has, he's got a slapper. He's got a one-timer, and he's very accurate with it. Now, and I think though would Thomas be elevating him to play with those two guys in Draisaitl and Connor McDavid? Now all of a sudden is Harley in those because I think Harley can be I think he is already a better defender than Bouchard is. I think he wants to be a better defender than Bouchard is. So I don't know if that's really a comparable for me. And I'm for the life of me right now as I'm talking, I'm trying to think of somebody that plays that on both sides of the puck, because I think Harley is going to be and needs to be that two-way guy. He's got to be a guy where he can be a go-to guy in the penalty kill too. I don't know if they trust him 100% yet there, but he's big and he makes good plays. He has a little risk in his game. I think there's not a lot of fear in his own zone sometimes, where I think you need to be afraid of some things and you make a little bit a better high percentage play at times. And again, you don't want to take anything away from Harley, but I would like to see him dial his game. I think his offense is there, to be honest with you. His skating is there, and I think he commits a little bit more to being a better all-around defenseman and wanting to play and earn more time killing penalties and being out there, being on the ice, when you're protecting a lead, not just down by a goal, and it's the last 30 seconds of a game, and where they look down the bench and they don't even have to look and see where he is. They're like, Thomas, get out there. You and Miro, get out there. You and Essa, get out there. Things like that.
So you asked a question right before the break. Do you give Thomas Harley more money than Miro Heiskanen? Miro's at $8.45 million for 4 more seasons. Wow. Halfway through his deal, right? It looks
That's a nice deal.
It looks like a really good deal, especially with Bouchard just signing for a $10.5 million AAV. So that is the question. Do you battle a temporary comp like, okay, Bouchard, Harley, do you give them similar AAVs? Or do you say, like we did with Robo and Rantanen, hey, he's our highest paid defenseman, we're coming underneath that? Because Harley's at $4 million for this year, his last year of his current deal. He's an RFA. He's only 23, so you've got years to go before you worry about free agency. But, Luds, if you gave Jason Robertson 11.5, let's just say for the sake of this argument, that's 3.75 increase from his current deal. That means that you would have less than $5 million for Harley if you assume that your cap goes up by 8.5 and there's no other moves are made, right? So you have room if you pay him less than Miro. If you're talking about paying him 10, that might be pushing it.
See, I'm thinking Harley can start with a 7. That's where I think he is, between a 6, 6.5, 7, and then you can elevate it from there. But I'm just saying, I think that's his starting point.
Do you think Harley and his agent see that way?
I mean, you think they want more?
The ask for them, do you think that? I would imagine that'd be higher.
Well, I would think it would be higher, but I think you can start him there and work his way up there. But again, maybe it's only a 3 or 4 year deal. I don't know what they're trying to do, but good luck, Marchenko. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not easy.
He has a really good shot, Thomas Harley, of making the Canadian Olympic team.
Yeah.
Jason Robertson has a really good shot at making Team USA. Does that increase their worth, their potential contract asks?
It shouldn't. What it should do is what I was talking about with Robertson is give them incentive to have a better season, to prove that they should be on those teams. I think, as I said it with Robertson and Rantanen, I think that it makes sense with them. But I think with the salary cap going up and the way how fast these contracts are increasing, I don't think you can always look and say we can't pay him more than blank. Like Miro Heiskanen would be making a lot more than he's making if he was getting a contract next year, like Harley, right? So I don't think you can always look back and say that's our guy, that's our number one defenseman. We can't pay him more than that because, Thomas Harley is a number one defenseman. Whether he is right now at the moment or in next year or next 2 years, he's a number one defenseman. The Stars are going to have 2 of those. You got to pay them both like number one defensemen. You can't pay Harley like he's a secondary to Miro Heiskanen because arguably he might be better in terms of both sides of the ice, right? He might be producing more offense than Heiskanen and doing more on the power play.
I'm not ready to say that he's better than Heiskanen.
Not better because he's not a better player, but in terms of he'll provide more offense. And
I think you're right. I think he's a little bit more. Luds talked about this a lot during the season. Harley is more offensively inclined of the two, but that doesn't necessarily make him the better overall. All-around defense.
And he should be on their first power play, as we all argued last season. So I just don't think you can always compare it with the way the salary cap's going. So for me, it's more of what does he deserve as a number one, number two defenseman versus comparing him to Miro Heiskanen. I think there's no chance in hell they sign him for 7 or 8. I really do. I don't think it's possible. I think that he's up there in the 9 to 10 argument, and I think that's why they may have to make
Edmonton overpaid Bouchard.
Yeah,
does that just set the bar so high? You go, well, I'm as good as this guy.
Yeah, it's just hard to argue it. I will say that the Stars do a very good job of making those things that we don't think are possible happen. The Mikko Rantanen for $12 million type of deals instead of 14 or whatever they thought he would get.
that opportunity kind of fell in their lap. They never thought they'd even have a chance at it.
I don't take anything off the table with them, but I just think that comparing him to Heiskanen is going to be tough because they're not the same player, and Harley's got a very, very high ceiling, and he deserves to get paid for it.
Hey, Luds, I got a super chat for you. So go ahead, Elijah. Give us the bing bong. And it's from Sweden. It's from Patrick Bylock. He gave us 100 Swedish kroner. Luds, do you have the instant conversion rate of Swedish kroner
knows it.
to U.S. dollars?
No.
It's about $10.
$78.
It's $10.50 US right now, currently, which would be an Oscar Beck. And then for 50, you have to go to Chris Barch, for who wore number 50 for the Stars most recently. The super chat from Patrick is, I would think Robertson would land around 10 million 6 years, and Harley, I think he'll land around 8 million for 4. That leads me to the question of term. What's ideal for both of these players as far as the length of their next contracts?
Well, I mean, I think anybody that if Thomas is getting 8 million and then 4 years from now, that's going to be about 6, because that's all going up. Right. So, and I want to go back to this number one defenseman stuff. Alex Pietrangelo, healthy. That's a number one guy.
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. He's on the power play and he's on the penalty kill and he plays 5-on-5. We're talking about two guys that you're saying are number ones that don't even see the power play for the most part. I find that odd that they're number ones. I mean, it's like they don't trust them out there to be out there on those two. More Miro than Thomas. But see, I don't know if again, go back to Bouchard. I mean, Bouchard stinks when he's on the PK if he's ever out there. But he's not interested. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like he's not like Darnell Nurse is a good penalty killer because he's physical and he blocks shots and he stands there and he does all the ugly stuff. And I think Nurse gets out there a little bit on the second power play, right? I'm not saying he's a number one, but boy, would my kid have a hard time hearing me talking about that. My kid played with Darnell Nurse like a little bit when they were in the minors together. He's as soon as Nurse signed for $8 million or what it was, I got a message. He goes, "Are you serious? This guy?" He goes, "He stinks." And I'm like, "He doesn't stink." But anyway, I just think it's so hard now. And then you're going to look at it like, who's the dude that signed for 10 years in Edmonton, fourth liner? Who they just signed? Fourth line guy got from Boston.
You're talking about Trent Frederick?
Frederick. So he signed like a 10-year deal, an 8-year deal. He signed an 8-year deal for $3 million. So
3.85.
That's $3 million. What's that?
3.85 for 1-2, for till 2033. So just under 4 for a long time.
So in 5 years from now, that contract is going to be really about somebody making $2 million. But I think that player is good for that player. He's a fourth line guy and he bangs around. So God bless him. He's got security and he's got $4 million coming in for the next 6, 7, 8 years, whatever it may be. But that just shows you that, and the last thing you want is some of these guys to go and sign a contract for 4 or 5 years, and it's not. Now all of a sudden everybody else is making more than they are at that time, and now you're feeling like you got screwed. So, but again, they signed the deal. Their agent talks in whatever they talk them into. I just think it's a difficult time. I mean, it's a great time, but you want to make sure that the player feels good as he does in year one playing under that money as in game or year 3 or 4 or 5, whatever it is. And cap keeps going up and you feel like you're getting screwed or something.
Yeah. I was just going to say that goes with what we're talking about with Harley too. We mentioned, does Harley's camp feel they deserve more? Harley's 23 years old, right? So it's not like this is his last chance for some big deal. He very well could sign for another 2, 3, even 4 years of some sort of bridge, and then say when this team is in hopefully a better spot, Sagan's contract's off, they figured it all out with the Wyatt and Ottinger and Jason Robertson and all that, then they can pay me 11.
See, if I'm the Dallas Stars, a 4-year deal is a bad idea because you're literally walking Harley right to age 27 of unrestricted free agency, meaning you then lose control. So I think if you're Dallas, you're either going to, because he has 1 year now, so either a 2-year bridge or you're going to do a long-term and get into some of those UFA years.
And where's Thomas's head in all that? Because he didn't get the longer one that he wanted. Now he signed a couple-year deal, right? Instead of what we thought would be a 5 or 6 or whatever it may be. Now you're going to do it to him again?
I don't know.
I mean, he's a confident guy.
But do you think he bets on himself and says, hey, I'll take 7, 2 years at 6 or 7, and that because that's a couple $1 million increase in salary, and then boy, the next one's gonna knock my socks off because he just saw Wyatt Johnson sign a big deal for a long time.
Yep. Good luck.
Yeah. No, I think if Thomas Harley's in a spot where he could take 2 years, as you said, 2 years at 7, he's probably not. If they're doing 8-7 year extension, probably not getting more than that. He's probably getting 8 if they do agree to that. So take 7, maybe even 8 for 2 years and prove it that you're worth what could be 11 in 2 years.
Luds, I want to.
And then you really pray that something doesn't happen, an injury to a player like that passed up on a 6, 7 year deal, and only like you said, bet on himself, and then something happens. That's tough.
This year's salary cap $95.5 million. The following season it will go up to 104, and then the year after that 113.5. And you would imagine with possible expansion, TV revenues, and growth, that number will keep going up. Luds, the last thing I'll leave you with, and then we got to go to the ad break, is Jim Nill always says, play well and things will take care of itself. And that's what he said about John Klingberg, and that's what he'll say about these guys and everybody in between is you go out there and you do your job and you perform, and everyone's going to be happy in the end.
Yeah, and at some point there's going to be a big collage of those guys, and you won't be able to take care of everybody. But I think, again, Jim has done such a good job at spacing everything out, and he doesn't just go work from year to year. He's down the road a ways.
And I think, I got to go to commercial. Let's do that. We'll come back, finish it up, and then move on to some NHL news and notes here on DLS. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my chair is squeaky.
Too, and so is Elijah's.
Every time I move, it squeaks, and I'm sitting here going, I hope the listeners and viewers can't hear it because, boy, that's obnoxious, right? Well, let's talk about being a DLLS diehard for a second. Well, let's sign out of our stuff first and foremost so we can't read any of it. Scan the QR code. You can go to alldls.com/intro because we have a special $36 Cowboys Training Camp Diehard sale going on right now. You can get a annual subscription if you have not been a diehard before for a fraction of the cost. Clarence Hill, our Cowboys writer, is out in Oxnard right now covering everything about training camp. Beautiful, idyllic summer, Southern California weather. I hear the marine layer sometimes takes a little while to burn off, but then they have perfect weather in the afternoon. Sam, you've lived that in the greater LA area. You get a lot of nice 70-degree days. And, who doesn't love that? But the entire DLS Cowboy Show will be streaming on site from August 11th through the 14th, a couple weeks from now. Was that a train that went through?
Was.
It sounded like it.
That was it.
And so you can get that sale right now to be a diehard and get top level of DLS coverage for a fraction of the price for a full year. Not only that, you get a free t-shirt with your annual subscription, your first year, and we have shirts like this one, the Otter shirt. We've got the new Dallas collection, which includes the barbecue shirt that Sam is wearing. We've got the Nolan Ryan giving it the business to Robin Ventura and everything in between. So lots of great shirts. Elijah, if you want to throw that on the screen, we've got the weird all combination of mascots in one strange creature. Big Tex.
Nightmares.
That one bothers me too. Not the Big Tex, but the combination of mascots. Dallas versus all y'all. I think Clarence was actually wearing that out in Oxnard the other day. And of course, DLS Mavericks with the hat. All really good looking there. So sign up to be a diehard today. Get the free newsletter just by putting your email in. You don't have to pay for anything. Go to alldls.com, do that. But sign up today. Be a diehard. I was trying to think of what I was going to make the point of at the end of the last one of we were talking about.
I think.
And then I stopped. Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it's going to come back to me, which happens, right, with age. Yeah. It's. I did not ask Luds though. I didn't look at Luds and say right. But that's the whole point of this conversation today was for me forget this nonsense about this. He's on the trading block, right? I think the only reason that you even shopped him was, is there a way you can keep Mikael Granlund?
Yep.
Well, those are one of the ways. And Luds, you already said this. If you had Granlund on the team but Robertson off, I don't know if you're better off. I like Granlund. I like what he does in the playoffs. I think he complements Hintz and Rantanen. That all finish line was nice. But Jason Robertson scores goals in a way that even Mikko Rantanen doesn't. And so in that regard, it's all about how do you get your contract the way you want. And maybe that was it with Harley is you have 2 years, you do a quick 2-year deal, another bridge. I know that's risking some things, but then you've got the cap going up and Sagan's contract coming off. That would be a chance to bet on yourself for a big dollar knowing that the cap goes up and $9 million plus of Tyler Seguin is not on the books.
You know what's going to be interesting for me if that trio stays together on that top line, like will there be teams that will be able to go at them and take liberties with them? That because we saw how the response was with Rupe. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, I don't know. I personally, I would rather have, and this is nothing against Robo, I would have a guy, I'd like a heavier guy there that can score 20 goals a game, but does a little bit more. Let's just say if it was Jamie Benn 10 years ago. I mean, again, we can, that kind of a player that would be on that line, and that, it leaves Robo there, and they move guys in and out. But it'll be interesting to see if they can continue to play that way, because if you're going to play against those guys, you're going to say, well, I don't know if we're going to be able to outpoint them tonight. So we're going to try to find a way to push somebody out of that. On that line's going to get pushed out of the game one way or another. I mean,
and if that's the case, if you're doing that, then the onus goes on the Matt Duchene line or the Wyatt Johnston line, or however you draw them out, to say, all right, if they're going to try to do that matchup, that goes back to why you want Wyatt on his own line, because he could win a lot of those matchups. If he's your second or getting the second or third best opposition, he should be in a really good spot as his line, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it doesn't answer the question that Luz is talking about, because I'm with you, Luz. I think someone like what Mason Marchment was when he first came here, that type of guy helps that line out. But there's also a chance Matt Duchene finds his way up there and moves to that wing, and they decide to put Jason Robertson on that second line with maybe Wyatt Johnston at center. So,
and I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. It's going to be interesting to see how they do it, but I think if they're going to go the route we want them to go, there's going to be changes during the season, because right now they don't have the players to do one guy on every line that's a Mason Marchment type player. They literally just got rid of one of the only ones they had. They did that. So it's just going to be interesting to see how they just decide to go with the chemistry on every line, because I'm sure you're not the only one thinking that, Luz. Sure, you're not the only one thinking that there are lines that could be at risk to be pushed around by a checking line and not be able to be as productive because they're not going to push back.
Well, by putting Matt Duchene, did they just get tougher on that line, or
no? That's why I'm saying it. That's why I don't think they did it at all. But I just saying what their options are as their roster stands right now.
I mean, let's remember who the coach is and who he was coaching with last year, because it seems to me Edmonton had one of those kind of guys on every one of their lines.
Yep.
And and again, not that it worked for them, but it got them back to the finals in a different kind of way. And so, yeah, I mean, again, if you don't have those players, it's pretty hard to sit here and say we need that guy, put that guy on that line, because there are no guys there.
I mean, what would it be? Jamie Benn, Steele, Foxa, Beck? Like, what are you going to put one of those guys on your top? Ritzkovian as your top line left winger? I don't think they have
none of those guys should be on the top line that you just mentioned.
Agreed.
Okay. Yeah.
Couple of quick NHL news and notes. We're not going to get into a lot of details of it, but the big news of the day is Hockey Canada sexual assault trial verdict just came out, and all 5 players that were on trial were found not guilty. That leads to a lot of questions about to what's next as far as what happens, because they've been all removed from their teams. Their contracts were canceled. They haven't been playing. A few of them were
in the KHL as well.
And then, because Gary Bettman, as a lawyer would, refused to talk about hypotheticals of what would be next. Now the question is, what would be next? And it's honestly, Sam, I think the big thing is, and we don't want to get too much into the details of this, we don't have a lot of time to, is I'm not sure how to feel about it, about the verdict.
Exactly how I feel. And that's why we don't talk much about it. I didn't dive much into it in terms of reporting it or anything like that, because, on one side, you're hoping that these guys, didn't do the things that are being claimed that they did.
The allegations,
but on the other side,
charges.
you're siding with a victim, and you don't want them to be, these players to be getting off if they did something wrong, and this woman is right in what she's doing. So I am with you. You don't know how to feel. All we can do is report exactly what happened. And then, as you said, all these players were pretty full-time NHL guys. Cal Foote was the only one that I think that was kind of in between the AHL and NHL. These are, Dubé, Carter Hart was their number 1 goalie in Philly. So it'll be interesting to see now. As you said, Bettman pushed it off every time we asked him in the playoffs. So we'll see what that comes to. First of all, whether they'll be allowed to come back, and second of all, whether they'll be taken back by an NHL team.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And do they have to wait longer?
I don't think you're going to see the Chicago Blackhawks pick up any of those players.
Probably the right move.
Yeah, and some organizations might be more sensitive to.
Yeah,
that's why I think it'll be tough. I think some organizations, because of not knowing or whatever everything is all about there, they would rather not go down that road and have to deal with it. Unfortunately for everyone.
And even though Joel Quenneville wasn't at the front of, he was involved, but he wasn't the guy, but he was the coach when the whole Blackhawks thing happened. He still has to sort of atone, and he went away for a while, and now he's in Anaheim, and he's talked about it a little bit, and got to see, right? It's sort of like, what are you going to do with it next? Luds, there are some news and notes out there, but I thought this was kind of funny this morning. I got an email from the Athletic Hockey where they were talking about that even by NHL standards, this has been a lazy summer as far as news. Usually slow at this time of year, but listen to this. As of this morning, it's been 7 days since the last trade, which was Dakota Joshua to the Leafs for a pick. It's been 11 days since the last trade involving players both ways, which was Artur Silovs going to the Penguins for a prospect, Chase Stillman, and a pick. 14 days since the last trade involving NHL players, if you count Kolyachonok and Kolyachonok, thank you, and Matt Dumba. It's been 2 days since the last signing worth more than $1 million, and that was Capo Caco with Seattle. You have to go 6 days back for the next one, which was Gabe Vilardi. 13 days since the last unrestricted free agent signed more than a $1 million deal, and that was Jeff Skinner to the Sharks. 21 days since the last UFA to sign on a new team on a multi-year deal that was more than $1 million, and that was Nick Ehlers to the Hurricanes. And then a funny line to end it. 15 minutes since the last time you heard an insider say that things were going to start heating up anytime now.
With the eyeballs.
With eyeballs emojis, right?
But it's just not the busy news
all
time.
Those names that you mentioned, how many are household names? You know what I mean?
I mean, Nick Ehlers, maybe?
Yeah, Ehlers, Vilardi,
that's
maybe.
The biggest one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild because I think July 2nd is when everybody went on vacation.
Well, it's within a couple days. I think like 4th or 5th of July is usually a good time to say, okay, unless there's a big free agent holding out, and that was Ehlers in this case, not much is going to go on. The other news, Luds, and this happened a few days ago, but I wanted to get your take on veteran NHL coach Gerard Gallant has signed on to coach in the KHL, but not just any Russian team. He's going to China to coach the Kunlun Red Star in Beijing. What do you make of a guy who we thought could be up for an NHL coach job going over to work in the KHL?
Kind of like a last-ditch effort to stay in the game. You know, obviously there was nobody else asking. I didn't even hear if Gerard had any other interviews. I mean, we had thought that there was a couple teams, and I never even heard his name mentioned. So, which is disappointing for me personally, because I like Gerard Gallant. I mean, he's a little bit of a throwback of a kind of guy. I mean, not as far back as the Dale Hunter, but they're kind of in that same vein. And and from what I've heard, the teams that he has coached on, the players actually enjoyed having him as a coach. And he's one of those guys, you know where you stand. And it may have something to do with the generation now. You know, you gotta treat these players, especially the young guys, a little bit differently, right? They don't respond, or they get their feelings hurt a little bit quicker than other ones if you have the hard coaches that kind of drill down on you too much. You got to be careful.
Curious if he got like a lot of money to do it, or because you'd imagine he'd be able to go to Europe or else and find another job to go all the way to China. Either he really wanted to go to China for some reason and explore the area, or he got offered a lot of money for it. I thought he was would be up for the Stars job. So that to go from even being on a radar to KHL in China is a very dramatic jump.
I think Luds is right, because now it's been a couple years since he's coached. And so it's one thing to be 1 year out, but now 2 or 3, it's okay. Now what are you doing with yourself? Are you still connected to the game at all? So I think that's probably primary, and maybe there's some money involved as well. But coaches have to coach, Luds, right? It's just part of the DNA.
It's in your blood, and again, if there's enough money and you think that maybe it's a path back, and you do a good job somewhere. But I would think that he's probably feeling like, listen, if I'm going to China, this may be my last gig. You know, so I don't know if everybody's tuning in to watch the Chinese, whatever they're called, play their games.
I think you watch them on FaceTube, right?
Yeah, it's right on the FaceTube channel.
I love it. Well, Luds, we always appreciate your humor and let alone the insights on the contracts. As you said, not an easy job for Mark Janko in the next 12 to 24 months to figure it all out. But we will be back tomorrow for our Friday show, and we're going to focus that, we believe, unless some big news comes out,
Give us something.
on the blue line. Your favorite topic. Let's talk about the defense of the Dallas Stars. Katya will be our producer tomorrow. So big thank you to Elijah today. And, of course, for Craig Ludwig and Sam Nessler, I'm Owen Newkirk, and all of you viewers and super chatters out there. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday, at 1 o'clock Central Time, not 2. 1 o'clock tomorrow, right here on DLLS.
We all silly like the mayor.